We now come to our guest of honor, and what a privilege it is for us to have somebody of the stature of Mr. Pravin Gordhan with us. He is, I suppose we can call a money man in many ways, and we all sort of got to fear him almost when he was the Commissioner of the South African Revenue Service, because he did such a fantastic job that those of you, and I exclude myself, that were slipping through the net, as it were, from a tax point of view, he was on your ass, boy, in a big way. But I enjoyed this little thing that I came across the other day of a little boy who wanted to know from his mother what it was like to have 1,000 rand. And his mother said to him, well, what you should do is pray to God and ask him to give you 1,000 rand. And so the little bugger prayed for 2 weeks solid, and nothing happened. So he decided to write to God. And in a very naive little way, he said, would you be kind enough to send me 1,000 rand? I'd just love to know what it's like to have 1,000 rand. And of course, he posted it off to God. And when the post office received this, they decided there's only one way to handle this, and that is to make sure that the letter got to President Zuma. And the president was so impressed and touched by this amusing little story of this boy that he instructed his secretary to send the boy 20 rand. And he thought that, 20 rand would be more than sufficient to appease and satisfy a little boy. And the boy was delighted with the 20 rand that he received. And he sat down to write a thank you letter, of course, to God. And he said, dear God, thank you very much for sending me the money. But I noticed that you had to send it through the government. And you know what those bastards did? They took off 980 rand for tax. I was quite tough to see that Mr. Gordhan is indeed younger than me. I was also delighted to see that he was born in April, like me, so he's a Taurus. And when you look through his CV, you realize just what a significant contribution he has made to our country. He's been a member of Parliament from 1994, and then in 1996 he became the chairperson of the Constitutional Committee in Parliament, and he played a very big part, of course, in the implementation of our world-acclaimed Constitution. After being the Deputy Commissioner, he became the Commissioner for SARS in 1999. And then he succeeded Trevor who had done a wonderful job, and he brought a new dynamic to the Minister of Finance, which he took over in 2009. Very recently, he has been in the new cabinet reshuffle, appointed as the Minister of Cooperative Governance. And there's quite obviously a reason for this. Because when he was with SARS, when he was the Minister of Finance, he got the reputation of being Mr. Fix-It. And if anything needs fixing in this country, it is local government. So strength to your elbow, sir. But what did amaze me is that, in fact, he studied at university, and the University of Durban Westville, for a degree in pharmacy. So he became a drug peddler. And for many of you others that go to a chemist for a different reason, you know what we call the man behind the desk. But, of course, he's been awarded several honorary doctorates for commerce and law. He's a highly educated man. And as a politician, I suppose during those youth days, those days after school as a student, he became involved in politics. So much so that the old apartheid government, of course, considered him to be a political activist. And he was detained no less than 3 times by the apartheid government. So much so that when he was working as a pharmacist at King Edward VII Hospital in Durban, he was expelled from the hospital because of his political activities, even though he'd been there for 7 years. He's played a role in so many aspects of our lives in this country, certainly since democracy in 1994. He played a very important role in the drafting of the white paper on local government, which laid the foundation for the developing local government authorities. And that's maybe why he's been asked to go back and to fix it once and for all. He is a man that when you talk about government in this country, no matter what political party you belong to or vote for, whatever your political persuasions, he is one of those men that every one of us says, there is a minister, a cabinet minister, that I can respect and admire. And so tonight we are very privileged, sir, to have as our guest of honour Mr. Pravin Gordhan.